Hello and thanks for stopping into my channel. A quick intro. I have a new client in my chair for this video. She had gotten her hair done about a week and a half prior. She usually just does like an all over rich color that fades out, and this last time she wanted to try like an ombre look. However, she feels as though it's just too all over blonde for her, not enough of her natural color left over in there, and the blonde is not blended upward very well. It just kind of looks like she got highlights about 4 months ago and they're grown out, she feels like. So we're just going to go through and add some of her natural hair color back through there as lowlights and blend some of the blonde upwards. If you'd like to see more of my videos, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and if you would like to see this tutorial, just stay tuned. So starting with the before pictures, you can see here where it just looks like all one color. She would like it to be more dimensional. It feels too blonde for her because not a lot of her natural color is through there, and it's quite a bit warmer than she would like, warmer in person actually. And up through here, we're going to blend in that line where it almost looks like it's just like a grown out highlight from months ago when actually it's only been a month or a week and a half. I've already done the back here. Now I'm up towards the crown, but I have done the same pattern all the way up the head. This is about a 1/2 inch section that I take. Now splitting that in half with some wider weaved foils. Can't talk there, had to think. Adding the lightener in the top part, the first section I split off, and fanning upwards just to blend in. In the back, I left it a little bit further away from the scalp, but as we get towards the top, I'm going to get closer to the scalp. I don't want it to look, as it grows out, I want it to be soft, but I wanted to have highlights closer to her root area. And by fanning upwards towards her root, it will have a nice softer blended in look. Now flipping that highlight up, I will section out the blonde that I see. I'm only using something close to her natural hair color, so it doesn't really matter the pattern that I weave out. That's not anything specific. I'm only weaving out the old warm blonde that I see. In her situation, I chose 6N creams from Redken Shades because their ends are quite neutral and can tend to be just a little closer to the ashier side, which will help neutralize any warmth that is left in the hair. Now I'm clipping this section out of the way because I want a dark section in between the top of the head highlights and the sides. I want this there because if we don't have a veil of darkness in between, all the highlights will blend together, and we don't really want that. When you want more dimensional highlights, you need to have those panels of dark hair, or they're natural. And her hair just feels like an all over blonde, so, and the sun has a lot to do with that too, I'm sure. She's pretty much a level 6, and I still think being out in the sun a level 6 can lighten pretty good. Now I am putting a highlight around her face, and I know that it looks like a thick chunk right there to you, but her hair, remember her hair being finer, she doesn't have a lot of density per 1/2 inch section, for example, so there's not as many hairs getting highlighted in that section as to say somebody else who has thicker hair. It won't be as prominent. And notice I did not bring it all the way up. I just kind of fanned it up towards her face. That way when she pulls her hair back, it's not a chunk of blonde. You got to be careful with finer hair around the face. I am putting a highlight here and keeping the hair underneath her natural hair color. When you have highlights laying over a veil, and I think I've said this before, over a veil of a darker color or her natural color, the blonde can pop out but not be overwhelming. Now there was a chunk of blonde put around her face, just like one little strand that I'm going to be covering up. If I don't cover this up with her with the low light, it'll just blend in with the highlight I just put in around her face and be too chunky. Now I'm dropping out the section that I had pulled up. You see she has some blonde there on the ends that I don't want to have. So I'm going through and sectioning those out and covering them up with the low light. Now around her face, in her bang area specifically, she has not long bangs. They're not like across her forehead, but they go to the side, and I think the idea was just to add a money piece right there so when she swishes it over, and that's probably what the stylist was thinking. So that's fine, but it doesn't blend in very well, and she doesn't have anything complementing it on the other side. So we're going to add that. First, we're going to take the section, and then, so this is a great way to get rid of the chunky look while still leaving it brighter in that area. I did a baby weave or a very fine highlight, however you'd like to call it, and then bringing it all the way to the root to soften that highlight. I would like to quickly add that she is not upset at her stylist for the way the color turned out. It's not a horrible job by any means. She just obviously doesn't have a lot of experiences with these types of colors, and so she got recommendations, and that's how she sought me out, and we're just taking it off from here and kind of just tweaking it to how we like it. On the other section of that hair, we are going to add that low light, because if I don't counteract the blonde on the underneath, it's just going to look like chunk again, right? So cover that up also. And then behind it, there's nothing there. So like she felt like it just looked like a thin piece of spaghetti hanging there. So we're going to get rid of that look by adding another softened baby light behind it. The lightener in this foil will also be fanned up close to the root. I go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. I'm following her hairline, guys. That's all I'm doing. Go through, and she has more of a heart-shaped part, so I am putting the foils in, and as you'll see, it'll start looking like the bottom of a heart, just because that's how her hairline goes right there. I was editing this video, and I was trying to keep her face out of it. So if the scenes are kind of like all over the place in different parts of her hair, that's why, or parts of her head. And I'm having one of my stylists help me by holding the camera, and we get to talking and it'll move over, and so I hope you guys can see well enough and understand what I'm doing. As I get further back away from the hairline, I do not go as close to the root with the lightener. As you see right here, I fan it upward, but keep it about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch away. It'll give it a softer look. After rinsing out her hair, I do a clarifying shampoo on it because she's been using Aussie, and I go ahead and I'm going to do the toner, but I'm gonna do it at my chair because I want to have a little bit darker to lighter. Now these are the new Fermar brushes that are like the chip brushes. I love them for doing this technique. I had my board there with a foil over top of it. I used the Fermar brush to paint it down and blend it. I'm not adding the end toner yet just because, I don't need that there as long yet because I don't know how her hair is going to take. I don't want to darken the highlights that are there. So as you see in there, I did, before I took the board out, I used the comb and combed it down. That'll help give it even extra blend. Now I'm just going to hold this section of hair out of the way. That initial foil is just there to kind of give me something to put pressure on. I know it's not a lot, but it helps just keep the hair flat. Now I'm going to go all the way up the head doing this, combing down each section before I paint it. That way there's a smoother transition of color. If the hair is kind of clumped up and not smoothed down, then I might get the color somewhere I don't want. I am putting this from her root to her where I blend it down all the way to the mid shaft because I want to add some shine there anyways. If it adds a little bit of a soft warm tone at her root, then that's fine. Well, when I say warm, I mean like glossy, I guess. And see, now I'm taking the brush sideways and going down that way. Just want to blend in the highlight there so it's a good transition. Before I move on to the top and sides, I do add this foil here just to keep it separate, because as I lay the top hair down, I don't want it to touch the underneath because of the length of the hair. And you see I kind of add foils wherever I need it. Now I toned her with Nide P and Clear. It worked really well. I did want to keep some warmth in there, but she was very warm, so that just kind of made it more of a neutral color, and it turned out great. She loved it. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you would like to see more, please subscribe right to your bottom right. I made it easy for you right here. And give me a thumbs up to let me know if I'm giving you information that you are learning from or you're enjoying. If you have any other questions or any video ideas that you'd like to learn, please comment that below and let me know, and I will try to get those out too. But thanks again, and I hope to have more out for you soon. Bye.